Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your guy, Darrell Owens, and we're back for another edition of One on One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television in Bowie, Maryland. Look, we're in episode 3 of season 7. Had that little hiatus, took a couple months off to get ready for season 7, and we've had two amazing guests so far, and Nate Burleson kicking the season off, and then we also had Coach Aaron Russell, the new head coach of Virginia women's basketball, the Cavaliers' brand new head coach. And today we had to to keep the connection going a little bit. We're going to have these next couple of weeks, you're going to see a string of Richmond Spider related vision going on here to an extent, but also we got a guy coming in today, an amazing play-by-play broadcaster. He is the communications and broadcasting manager for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. And I cannot wait for you guys to be introduced to some who know the amazing Blaine McCormick. Cannot wait to get into it. We've shared a broadcasting table together, calling women's college basketball for the Richmond Spiders, and we've gotten to see some great basketball over the years. But I can't wait for you guys to get to know Blaine a little bit better. And so we appreciate Blaine for coming on. We cannot wait to bring you episode 207 of 101, and it begins now.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to One on One at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 207 on 101 begins now. Season 7. And look, we are so glad to be with you all. Very, very, very pumped up about it because I have my man with me today. And I'm super, super excited to have him with me. My man, Blaine McCormick. Blaine, how are you doing, brother? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm doing so well, Darrell. Thank you for saying amazing about me because that is not at all what I am.
Come on.
But
Don't let him try to blow some smoke up y'all. Look, I'm telling you, I've told people, or I've been telling people in my inner circle, these next couple of episodes mean a lot to me because I've learned a lot from the next 3 people here in my time of being able to sit beside them at the broadcasting table for the Richmond Spiders women's basketball team. And Blaine is a part of that puzzle. And I'm so glad. I remember months ago, I said, Blaine, I got to have you on. Blaine's like, yeah, of course. So I'm glad to have him on and kind of talk about his career and how he got to where he is now. So Blaine, we once again, we appreciate having you on, my friend.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And it's been fun sharing a broadcast table with you too for those Richmond women's basketball games. It's been a blast.
And it has been a really good time. Can't wait for next season as well. Now, with that being said, we're going to start this off the way we start every 101, and that's with the check-in. All right, Blaine. So with the check-in, we got to check in on you, your family, your friends. How is life right now for Blaine McCormick?
Oh, life is good, man. Life is good. We are in the midst of our first season at Carmax Park and also my 6th season with the Richmond Flying Squirrels. In July, it's nearing the All-Star break, and while we're recording this, we're 2 days away from our All-Star break that happens in July. No Eastern League All-Star games this year. The only real All-Star game is in Major League Baseball. I know. I wish they still did one, or at least like name mid-season All-Stars for us. But anyways, like we're approaching that mid-season All-Star break, so it's a good time to relax, refresh a little bit. Wife is doing well, family is doing really well. They came out in June to celebrate my 30th birthday not too long ago. So it's
Happy birthday.
yeah,
Yes,
big
sir.
3-0.
Welcome. They call it the Dirty 30. Welcome, sir.
Wonderful.
There you go.
But no, everything's great, man. Everything's great. We're gonna go see some of my wife's family over in West Virginia for a little bit during the All-Star break. So it's gonna be great, man.
Good time to rest and get your mind together. Look, love it. Absolutely love it. Now let's kind of dig into Blaine a little bit. Blaine, I want to know when you were 7, 8, 9 years old, what made Blaine McCormick fall in love with sports? What triggered it? Was it, your parents? Was it could have been, some sport? What triggered your love for sports?
Yeah, I think at that point when I was, 7, 8, 9 years old, I was a really hyper kid and always running around, whether that was at the house or running around with a stick or something like that in the backyard. Didn't play a whole lot of video games at that age. I think that kind of came later when I was more in like middle and high school. But falling in love with sports was one, getting the energy out. And I really have to credit my parents with that because they said, look, whatever sport you want to do, go ahead and do it. Like, try it out. Even if you don't like it after day one, that's okay. Like, my mom still tells this story when I was in like little itty bitty soccer, like 4 years old. Went out for one day and came back over and she was like, well, how'd you like it? I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I didn't get the ball. I didn't get the ball that day. So I didn't play soccer after that tragic day when I was four
Just
years old.
cardio, just cardio.
Just cardio. But I started with t-ball and then kind of worked. I still played baseball even in high school. Um, did a lot of basketball, did some flag football here and there. I didn't do tackle football. And then when I got to high school, I started to pick up tennis and then golf a little later on into my professional career. So I've always had an interest in sports. I've always had a fascination. But I credit my parents with that, and I credit my dad and my grandfather because I remember we would sit down and watch Denver Broncos football games a lot. And grandpa had this collection of a whole bunch of Broncos memorabilia that included just about every card edition of John Elway. He was a
Wow.
huge John Elway fan. And the two Super Bowls that the Broncos won back to back, I was pretty young at that point. I think I was
Mhm.
2 and 3 when they won those two Super Bowls back to back. So I don't really recall that, you know, memory by memory, but I do remember just sitting on the couch watching Broncos games with my family, with my grandfather, my grandmother, my parents, and a lot of my friends. And that's where I really fell in love with sports and like the process of seeing a team come from the beginning of the season and then going into the playoffs and into the championships. Because there were some years that the Broncos made a lot of deep runs into
Right.
the postseason and into those Super Bowl runs. Didn't always work out for them, but they've still been a team that I have always had a fascination with. And that's what kind of grew into baseball, into basketball, and into hockey.
Well, good thing is this in your adult career, you've seen at least two runs that you can say that you saw. You saw one last year that was close. If Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, we're more likely they're in the Super. And that's what my prediction was. I had Denver going to the Super Bowl. I thought they were ready to make another run at it. So you at least got to see some in the last couple years. I can tell you who
Yeah.
does remember that first Broncos Super Bowl. This guy, because I was a Packers fan. I was 12 years old. We had just come off winning the Super Bowl the year before. And I was just like, man, back to back, this is it. And I remember watching the game. It was on NBC. I watched it from beginning to end. And I just remember saying to myself, like, it just wasn't meant to be. The couple things
Hmm.
turned their way. I'll never forgive them just letting TD walk into the end zone untouched. I knew why they did it because it was like if they don't, they're just going to hold the clock out and they're not going to have a chance to score. So they just let them score with like a minute to go, and just you say, hey, look, we're going to give it to Brett, and hopefully they can figure it out. And in my mind, because I've always had so much confidence in the Packers and Brett Favre, I'm like, we're going to score. We're going to go to overtime. Be the first overtime in Super Bowl history. Wrong. The Denver defense came up, did what they needed to do, and they went on. Instead of us being back-to-back champions, they went on to become back-to-back champions. So I
Yeah.
remember it clear as day. So if you don't remember Blaine, I will remember it for you, sir.
I appreciate that. Now I
Yeah, no,
remember it because of
yeah.
you.
Let's take a journey. I want to take a journey from high school until now. I want to know. Take us on a journey from Arizona State to the broadcasting school, the Walter Cronkite Broadcasting School, up into where you are now, being the communications and broadcasting manager for the Richmond Flying Squirrels. Can you take us on that journey?
Yeah, sure. I guess my interest, if you're talking about high school being the starting point, my interest in this career started right around then, like my junior year of high school. There was a local TV station, which was an NBC affiliate, KKCO, that I just kind of got in touch with, and the sports director at the time, Phil Stafford, he was a friend of a friend or something like that,
Hmm.
and I got in touch with him and was like, "Hey, can I just like talk with you and just see what it's like being a sports reporter in TV?" And he was like, he was all open arms about it too. Like he invited me down to the station, let me job shadow him while he was writing his scripts, doing his on-air hits and stuff. And this was during their like 6 o'clock show. So that was really cool to get like a firsthand impression of like what this industry can be. Um, and it was really great to pick Phil's mind about that too, because he was really young in his career at that point.
Hmm.
And then after high school, I was like, okay, I actually really want to do this. And I decided to go to Arizona State because they had a really good scholarship for me. Academics, not athletics at all. I was nowhere near good enough to play college baseball or college anything, really. Did some intramural games, which I'm really proud of.
There you go.
But
There you go.
went to Arizona State and really wanted to pursue journalism. And they had a great journalism school in the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. I decided to do that, and I really wanted to be like a sports center anchor, and kind of like how Stuart Scott was, because I grew up watching him on Sports Center and going through highlights, like reflecting on these awesome stories of the day. And I really liked baseball, so wanted to like really get into that with Sports Center and stuff. And then I started to do a few games for the college radio station, the student radio station, and the first ever game I did was a volleyball game. And I knew somewhat of volleyball,
Right.
didn't know the exact like X's and O's of it, but I had a roommate who was really, really intelligent about volleyball. And he gave me all the terminologies and walked me through everything. And I remember from that point on, I was like, I really like being in the middle of the action as a play by play broadcaster.
Hmm.
So did a lot more reps with the student radio station, doing all sorts of sports, like from volleyball to hockey, to basketball, both men's and women's. We had opportunities to call those games. Got the blessed with the opportunity to call a couple of football games too for the Sun Devils on that student radio station. So there were a couple at home at Sun Devil Stadium, and then did one on the road at Colorado, over in Boulder, which was awesome. And then a lot of baseball games too. So Arizona State has a great baseball program. They were really
Hmm.
good when I was there too. They
Yeah.
had the first overall pick in Spencer Torkelson when he got selected by the Tigers. I got to see him in college hit these big, big home runs out of Phoenix Municipal Park, and it was really cool to see that too, and be a part of it. And then from there, I knew I wanted to get into minor league baseball because that was what I was told was kind of the route. Like, hey, go into minor league baseball, get your reps there, get connected with
Hmm.
all the people in the baseball industry, and if you want to chase that dream of being a major league broadcaster. So I applied for
Everyone.
dozens of jobs, and just like sent my tapes out. I was like, I'll graduate early if you needed to. I didn't know how, but I was going to figure it out to graduate early. But luckily, there was a short season team in Boise, Idaho, the Boise Hawks, and they interviewed me over the phone and did like a couple rounds of interviews with a couple of their staff members, and they chose me for the job. And their season started in June at that point with short season leagues. So the short season teams would go from early June to early September, collection of
Mm.
76 games. So not
Right.
quite the 140 to 138 that we're at now, in
Hmm.
full season minor league baseball. I thought that was a really good first step for me as a broadcaster because you're doing it every day. You're doing
Hmm.
these 3 and 4 game road series, and you're having to travel all over the Pacific Northwest. It was a blast. And yeah, it was hard. Like, it was tough some days. We also hosted the Northwest League and Pioneer League All-Star game that year. So there was more work on top of that to do, and a lot of things to prepare for that game. But I got to broadcast that game in my first ever season in the minors. So that was really cool. Um, After that season, I went up to Spokane, Washington, and did some talent statistics for Gonzaga basketball. Mostly like when ESPN would come in or their TV crews, I would be off to the side and like write down stats to pass along to the talent. Um, And then I worked at a Nike store, which was just to try and get some money to pay for rent and stuff like that, you know.
Right, right, right.
And then interviewed for the job in Richmond in 2020 when I went down to the winter meetings in San Diego. Trey Wilson, that was the first time that I met Trey, my broadcast partner, and he selected me to be here now, and I've been in Richmond since 2021.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you said something that kind of, I think anybody that's in this industry now that are probably around our age range probably had the same thing happen to them, and that's fall in love with Stuart Scott. I mean, I know for me, what triggered me to want to be in the sports world in some form of the fashion was him. I mean, you
Hmm.
know, and I remember every day watching Sports Center 90 times in the morning, 80 times in the evening until I went to sleep. So when I went to sleep, Sports Center was on. When I woke up in the morning, it was still on. And I just watched it all the time. And I just remember him and, you know, the Mike Tiricos and the, you know, and Linda Combs and Rich Eisen, who is another. If I ever meet Rich Eisen, I'm gonna be as calm as I possibly can. I'm gonna be as calm as I possibly can. I'm a big fan of his. I still watch the show today. So it's just like, you know, the Dan Patricks, all of that. And I remember that was what sparked me to just, I want to be, and I wanted to just say that I want to be an anchor. You know, anchor's not kind of where it led to, but I did want to be one because it just was something I've always wanted to do. And it made me so happy. Like I was like, if I'm going to do anything in life, I want to do something that makes me happy. I love talking
Yeah,
sports. I love this. This is perfect. So yeah, I feel you when you said, I said, yep, 100%. He sparked the generation of what we have now. If we had to be honest with you, he's the guy. He's the guy,
100%,
man.
100%. And
Yeah.
I think you nailed it right there. Like he brought such a fun energy to the desk, and he was really engaging
Yeah.
with the viewer too. And I think that's something that's really unique about people in this industry is how they hook you in, how they tell a story or how they present something, and it makes you lean in, and you're leaning closer to your television, like fascinated, like what is he going to say
Right.
next? Like what is this story leading to? When you have that, you capture great attention. Tom Rinaldi is another one that I'll
Tom
shout out
Rinaldi.
because
Shout out to Tom.
he does a wonderful job of telling these stories that have so much impact and stuff that you may not always get on like your
Right.
Twitter feed. He will go out and dig through all the story and like find out the complete story as well. Because like there's some of his stories, like take for example a kid who's in college and his mom's going through cancer. Okay,
Right.
that's the headline. But he digs in to not only get the headline, but even down to the nitty gritty of like the emotional toll that it takes on the whole family. And he will make you cry with any story that he does. And I think that's so cool about what he does and what people in this industry can do. Like there's so many talented people here.
It's so crazy. I think another big one for me was sports reporters. I used to love watching sports reporters on Sunday. They had my man John Saunders on there. He was
Hmm.
great. Mitch Albom, I think Bob Ryan used to be on there a little bit. And then what's my man name? Uh, Jeremy. Man, it's gonna bother me. But his dad was on there initially. Um, it's gonna bother me until after the show. And I'm like, oh, it was him. But anyway, that I used to love watching sports reporters. Stuff like that really kind of got me just deeper and deeper into this. And then it was all the amazing play-by-play guys. One of my favorites was he did hockey. Was Gary Thorne, and I was just, oh my goodness. I,
Hmm.
I met him one time in Baltimore, and I was just like, my friend was like, "Are you going to speak to him?" He's saying hi, and I'm like, "It's Gary Thorne." I'm like, I mean, we're talking about. I don't know, but he made me fall in love with hockey with his voice. So it was just so many great people that kind of get you into this, and it's a beautiful thing. There's so many great people in the industry. So many great
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, you mentioned Gary Thorne. I always think of him for the Orioles, and
Yeah, yeah.
and I got to meet him one time when I was at Cronkite my senior year, and I got to talk with him about like the path of minor league baseball, and he gave me a lot of great insight. Um, and it's cool when you get to meet those guys and realize that they're actually humans, just like
Yeah,
us.
exactly.
It's refreshing.
It is.
And that's the beautiful thing about the play-by-play industry. Like everybody knows how much of a grind it is. Everybody knows, that there's such a limited amount of jobs. But the
Right.
really cool thing is everybody's willing to help. Everybody's willing to support, whether that's listening to a tape or just critiquing or even just talking about life. Like there's so much support and so much of a backing in this industry that is really unique. And I can't really pinpoint another industry that has that collection of broadcasters that will support you through whatever level that you're at, whether you're in the major leagues or if you're just starting your career in the minors.
I agree 100%. The reason I'm even remotely where I was because of Bob Black. I mean, to be able to even have the opportunities to do what I've been able to do the last couple of years and beyond. Years ago he gave me an opportunity when I first started. I hadn't done, been able to do a certain amount of things. I sent him a tape. He critiqued it. He sent me a
Hmm.
whole this email was long, and I appreciated it. And I used to always go back and read it every now and then, just to go back and read it and listen to what he said. And if I caught myself doing something he told me I wasn't, I'm just like, okay, you gotta be on top of it. So I remember having those, and you're 100% correct. It's nice to have the industry has been really nice. I thought it was gonna be like dog eat dog. It's like you said, there's so many people. I'm saying, because there's so many people. There's not a lot of positions. So if you get the opportunity, it's like, okay, all right, I gotta try to knock this out the park the best way I can. There was times I was afraid to ask people because I thought they would gatekeep. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna
Hmm.
tell you nothing. I don't need you taking my spot. But it hasn't been that way. And that was one pleasant thing that I was like, oh, this is a good deal, because I really thought it was gonna
Hmm.
be the opposite. So it is really cool. Next, let's talk about the Flying Squirrels. They started the season off amazing. They're still rocking and rolling. You've been able to call a lot of Flying Squirrels baseball over the last 6 years, and now you got a team that's probably maybe the best team that you've seen so far, potentially. What is your outlook with this team as they get closer and closer to the playoffs? They've already clinched the playoff spot. Can you just give us a little insight on where you see the Flying Squirrels at the moment?
Yeah, with this team, you're right. It's definitely one of the best teams that I've been a part of, not just in Richmond, but in my, short broadcasting career. There's been so many moments this season where I've been like, this is a really special team. And it is a really special team. They had the best April of franchise history. They've had one of the best starts in franchise history, and they're on pace to break a whole lot of offensive records that were set back just a few years ago in 2022. And like for context, 2022 postseason spot clinched in the first half. That was a great, great team. And we had a lot of big leaguers on that team too. 2023, same kind of situation, but flip flop. They didn't clinch the first half, but they had a really, really good stretch late in the season. And in that second half in 2023 was phenomenal. This season, an excellent start in the first half, and one of the most incredible starts we've ever seen. Like, for instance, our first home series at Carmax Park was a sweep of 6 games. And that was the first time in franchise history that we have swept an opponent in 6 straight ball games since the minor leagues moved to this 6 game schedule. That's so tough to
I'm
do.
about to say you
Like
can't.
you're
That's not an easy
it's so
task.
tough. Like you have to win 6 games in a row in order to get a sweep. It doesn't happen often. There's a handful throughout the whole league that happens. And that was just in the first week at home that we got a series sweep. So after that, I was like, this is a really special team. Like the outlook and the full picture, like it's wonderful to see this team come into play. And the guys are so energetic. This is a really, really close clubhouse. They're meshing so well this season. And I think that's because there's a lot of guys who have come up through the system for a couple of years now, and they've
Hmm.
gotten used to each other and have become really close friends. But it's also a mix of guys from different organizations, like trade acquisitions from years past, like Sabine Ceballos, got drafted by the Braves, now with the Giants. Tristan Breeling, who's a starter for the Flying Squirrels, he was with the Yankees system, got traded over last year at the deadline. Parks Harbor, same thing. Yankees minor leaguer involved in that same trade at the deadline last year. Um, and then you have a lot of non-drafted free agents that are like, I don't want to call them diamond in the roughs because that's so cliche, but just like overlooked at
Right.
points. Bo Davidson, who was a community college star in North Carolina, signed with the Giants and now is on a great home run tear. Like he hit his 19th home run of the season
Wow.
just last night. So he's on pace to break over 20 homers this year if he stays with us. And then you've got a lot of guys in the lower levels in the minors that could fit right in whenever they get that call up to Richmond. So it's a really special season. The playoffs this year at Carmax Park, it'll be Thursday, September 17th. That's game 2 of the division series. Game 3 will be the next day if necessary. And then the championship series would be that Sunday if the Flying Squirrels clinch the division series. So it's really special to open up a new ballpark with this kind of team because you're bringing so much energy already to the city with
Right.
the new ballpark and all the hype that goes around with that. Um, but now you're getting to not only talk about the stadium, but also talk about the team. And that's a collection of everything just going right with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we talked prior. I'm like, I can't wait to get out there. I've been waiting, just running around, and I'm like, I got to get out there before the season ends. And the team's doing
Yeah.
well. The stadium is brand new, and it's so good to have something new in Richmond. No disrespect to the Diamond. I went to the very last Richmond Braves game. I was there I won some tickets on the radio and was able to go to the very last game. They won. It was a really cool experience. Almost got hit with a foul ball. That's besides the point. But but it's so nice to kind of have something new in the area. Sports fans, people who love music have been clamoring for something new, and finally we have it. And that's like, I can't wait to get out there to take a look at it, and hopefully, maybe bring a championship to Richmond this year. That would be something nice to see.
Oh, it'd be so special. It'd be the first one in Flying Squirrels history, too. Like
Right.
the Braves won a few championships when they were in Richmond, but the Squirrels have not won one yet. They've been to the playoffs quite a few times, but I think it would just be so special to bring a title home. I've been a part of, and I've been blessed to be a part of 2 postseason runs with the Squirrels.
Hmm.
It would be fantastic to bring a ring back to Richmond, and this is a city that deserves it too. Like they deserve having this brand new stadium. They deserve having concerts at this brand new stadium, and the community has supported us so well. We have led Double A in attendance each of the last few years. Like going back to 2023, we have led Double A baseball in attendance. 2023 onto that up until last season, and we're still on pace to do that this season too. And top numbers in minor league baseball with total attendance and average. Um, but that speaks to the community.
Right.
It's a job that you have to get people into the stadium. So I credit our ticket salespeople, our marketing efforts, everybody that's involved in our front office, but I also credit the community because they are showing up for these games and they are being so loud and making this one of the most engaging markets to be a part of for minor league baseball. I have the opportunity, and I'm blessed with it as a broadcaster, to go and see different stadiums all across the league and get to see their crowd participation and their in-game experience. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in this league besides Richmond. Like Richmond has such a really good pocket of fans, and they go out, they support, they get loud, they participate in a whole bunch of great contests. And you don't get that everywhere in the Eastern League, but Richmond has that engagement, and they love it, and it's so fun to see, and just like even take a back seat in the booth and just like watch the crowd be so involved in it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, and just for those people listening out there, hey, we would love to have hockey back. We would love to have all these things back. Bring it on back. Bring it to Richmond. We are a sports town. Do not ever forget that. So if the Squirrels are not proving that, I don't know what else will.
Yeah.
So let's go to our next segment. It is time for it's my favorite segment. And I know I change it up each show. y'all be like, well, Darrell, I thought you said they're all my favorite segments. But for this one, this is my favorite segment. It is time for Quick Ones. All right, Blaine, are you ready for the Blaine McCormick edition of Quick Ones here on 101?
I think I am. We'll see how I do.
Let's see. First one, favorite sports memory.
I would say clinching the first half in 2022 with the Flying Squirrels because it was one that was kind of unique. We didn't, we needed to win the game, but we also needed an opponent to lose their game. So we were down underneath the tunnel. That game that were watching went into a delay. So we had like an anticipation with the rain delay that lasted just about 2 hours. And then once it finally resulted in our favor, everybody went crazy. So that'll be my favorite sports memory in my career.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Let's go from greatness to a little, maybe a little bit sadness. But what's the worst sports moment that you've been involved in?
As a fan or as a broadcaster?
As in anything, it can be fan,
Okay.
broadcaster.
I
Either
will
one.
always think of the Super Bowl that the Broncos were in against the Seattle Seahawks when the
Oh,
first snap for the Broncos possession went over Peyton Manning's head. And that was the moment that I was like, uh-oh, this might not be good. Broncos ended up losing that one, but then came back and won the Super Bowl a couple of years later. So I guess it offsets, you know.
yeah, it works out. It works out. And it is so funny. And the God rest his soul. My friend, he was a big Broncos fan, and we had a Super Bowl party here at the house. And I remember the sadness on his face the entire night, and I felt
Yeah.
so bad because the people, that's why I don't like watching football with a lot of people because everybody's like, "Yo, what's going on with your boys?" And like, Seattle's just tearing them up. I'm like, man. So 2 years later, when they end up winning against Carolina, you can see the smile on his face. So at least he got a little redemption. He was talking trash the rest of that night. I said, "You deserve this, sir. You
Yep.
deserve
Yep.
this." Next one on quick ones. Your favorite athlete of all time?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, I would say growing up, when I was playing baseball, I really idolized Troy Tulowitzki. Just the fact
Mm.
that he was a young phenom for the Rockies. He was so smooth with his delivery at shortstop, and I kind of modeled my game after him when I was playing. I always wore number two because Tulo always wore number two. He was an idol for me growing up. Um, in broadcasting now as a younger broadcaster, um I'll switch it up to like favorite broadcaster, that I kind
Okay.
of idolize now. I
Okay.
would say John Miller with the Giants. We're really lucky that
Oh
here on
man.
the East Coast, like when I'm all done with everything at the stadium and going back home, I can turn on the Giants game and they're usually like maybe in the fourth or the fifth innings. On my drive home, I can actually listen to John and Dave Fleming with the Giants radio network,
Mhm.
and I can listen to what they do. And John's so funny. I got to meet him in spring training a couple years ago, and we sat down for a segment with him, and Trey asked him like two or three questions, and John gave a 30-minute answer that was just
I love
majestic.
it.
Like he recalled so much information, and just a broadcasting clinic. Like it was fascinating with John. Like
Yeah.
he's amazing.
That's awesome. That's when you just like slide your phone and accidentally hit auto record and you be like, continue.
He gave us great content. Like he could pull so many memories of when he was broadcasting the 1994 Governor's Cup in Richmond. He knew the starter, he knew the closer, he knew like what runs scored and everything. Like, and
Wow.
this is a guy that sees thousands of innings of Giants baseball every year, and he remembers a game in Richmond. Like
That's
he's
insane.
incredible.
30 years ago, that's when you can pull out. That's a baseball encyclopedia. He's like, let me go ahead and
Yeah.
see what I got from here. That's amazing. That's amazing. Sport that you secretly love.
Secretly love, I would say hockey. Like I really, really enjoy watching hockey. I cannot broadcast it at all. I give a lot of credit to my friends who are in the hockey broadcasting industry because when I'm in a game in person, like sometimes I can't even see the puck. But I love the environment of hockey. I love watching it on TV. I like being there in person much, much better. But I think that goes for all sports.
Right.
Hockey though, like it brings a certain energy in the arena. So that's the sport that I secretly really, really love.
Yeah, I got a chance this year to shoot my first ever hockey game. First ever game that I actually got a chance to go to. So let me clarify that. First game I ever got to go to, first game I ever got to shoot, and it was my boys, the Colorado Avalanche, baby.
Let's go.
Taking on the Caps. And so finally getting a chance to see my boys after all these years. I've been a fan since they were in Quebec because I
Yeah, yeah.
yeah I became a fan. This is crazy, but I became a fan because NHL '94. I remember the first time I played the game, and there's a team that starts with a Q. I didn't know that that's how you say the name. I just was like, that's cool. I've never seen a team with a Q before. I'm 10 years old, so I'm like, I'm gonna play with this team. I didn't play with anybody else in the game. I've always played with Quebec. Always, always. They had Ron Hextall on the team. Sackett was on the team.
Mm-hmm.
They had Matt Sedin. I'm like, all right, cool. These are my guys. That's who I play with. Next year, game comes out, or I think it may have been 2 years, and I'm like, hey, where's Quebec? Had no clue. Found out they moved to Colorado, and ain't nothing changed since. So I'm a little disappointed when they didn't win it this year, but I knew once they won the President's Cup, I said, yeah, it's not happening. Something's going to trip them up, and I can't stand Vegas. Between Vegas and the Wild, these can beat the Wild. I'll take that. But anyway, yeah. So it was cool. It was a very amazing experience doing hockey. So yeah, that's probably, I would agree with you. It's probably my secret sport too. People know, I mean, I talk about it, but they don't know how much I really love it. So
yeah.
Oh man. All right. So we got 2 fun ones, and then we'll head to our last segment. I want you to give me your top 3 snacks. I want you to name one that you hate.
Oh, name one that I hate. Okay.
Yes.
So top three snacks, especially since we're on the road so much.
Right.
Like I always have these 3 in my bag. I always have popcorners.
Okay.
Something that
Smart.
I found a couple of years ago that's just like a good, crisp treat. You can kind of break it up with the potato chips and stuff. So it's like I usually go with the kettle corn popcorners. That's number 1. Sunflower seeds, like any kind of sunflower seed flavor. I don't care what it is. It can be spicy, it can be dill pickle, it can be ranch, whatever. Like I'll eat any of those. And then popcorn as well. I know like popcorners and popcorn might be 2 of the same things, but like when I'm in the hotel room and I need a quick snack, I just put in a bag of popcorn in the microwave and I'm set. The one that I hate, that's a tough one.
I don't want no parts of that.
I'm not that picky of an eater, but I would say like maybe black licorice. I never really liked the taste of it. I know, sorry, that might be like
no. I'm gonna tell you why that's funny. Because Coach Russell said the same thing last week.
Really?
He was like, I said, what's the one you hate? He said, licorice. I was like, oh, so I was waiting. I said, if he says licorice, so yeah, right there. And I'm right there with you.
Okay.
It's trash.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that Russell and I have that. Maybe there's something good there. Yeah, I guess that's the one that I don't like. I don't know. I'm not that picky of an eater. So
it is good and plenty. Mike and Ike's cousin, Good and Plenty. And they should just burn the candy. It is the nastiest thing I remember one time I saw, I wonder what this gonna taste like. I had no clue it was licorice. I walked into that, I said, never again. Never again. Wasting my dollar on there.
I always see those at the movie theaters, but I'm always like, is that just a cardboard box or does it actually have stuff in there? But I guess they do.
Right. And it's not worth the time of the day. Last one on quick ones. Here's a fun one. You're putting on a concert, Blaine. You get to pick 4 artists in this concert. Who's your opener? Who's your people in the middle, and who's closing the show for you?
Dang,
artists of your choosing. Doesn't matter. Dead or alive. Where would you go?
Okay. So it might be a kind of a hodgepodge of different artists. I've always wanted to see Eminem in concert. Like, I've enjoyed listening to him so much, and I've always thought that his lyrics are so incredible, and just the way that he raps too. I would love to see him one day. That would be number 1. I don't know if he would be an opener or not, but we'll put him as part of that rotation. Luke Combs, I've always wanted to see him in person. You can tell that I always listen to a lot of different music. It's not just like country or just hip hop.
Right.
But Eminem, Combs, Aerosmith, I would throw in there as well. I got to see them in Phoenix when was this? 2019? It was 2019 when I got to see Aerosmith in Phoenix, and they were phenomenal. Absolutely crushed it. So I would put them in there, and then I would also have Chris Stapleton. He's my favorite artist, like of all time. Like I've seen him a couple times. That last time I saw him was in Charlottesville at JPJ. and an incredible voice, great songwriter, great performer too. Um, so yeah, I know it's a little bit of a weird concert. I don't know
No,
really know how you market it. But yeah,
we'll
Eminem,
figure it
Luke
out.
Combs, Aerosmith, and Chris Stapleton.
I mean,
That would be mine.
you got a little bit for everybody. That's the way I
I
see it. I
guess.
mean, if you want to come to different sessions, maybe for the first 30 minutes, you got your Eminem fans in there jamming, and he was like, all right, y'all, it's been my time. Come out here, Luke Combs and the crew come in, they got your fans, Hey, look, I would go. I would enjoy the concert. I know that much. All right, everybody. That is the Blaine McCormick edition of Quick Ones here on One on One. And now we're going to finish this up the right way with Leave Your Legacy. All right. So, Blaine, we want to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for coming by, taking your time. We know you're on the road. You got a lot going on, and we appreciate you stopping by to talk about yourself and your career and how you've gotten to where you are. So, first of all, appreciate you for that, my friend.
Of course, of course. Thank you for having me on this one. This is fun, Darrell.
Yeah, so now we're going to finish it up the right way. Blaine, you decided to retire. You know what? We'll sit back on the beach, drink of choice, relaxing, you're reflecting on your career. What do you want people to say about Blaine McCormick? What do you want your legacy to be once you've hung up the microphone for good?
Well, I think I'm too young right now to think about hanging up the microphone.
Yeah. You got plenty of
But
time, sir. You got plenty of time.
yeah, plenty of time. But at the end of my career, I hope that people kind of reflect that, I had fun with it and I wanted to make it fun for everybody. Because there's so many people in this industry that make it fun for the fans.
Right.
And, we have conversations with other broadcasters in the league all the time where it's like it's not really about the broadcaster. We are the medium between the sport and the fan. So I want to make it as fun of an experience for a fan listening or watching on TV as it would be for them to actually see the game in person. And try to give them insight to stuff that maybe they wouldn't see if they're at a game. Or something that they're curious about, or telling an athlete's story that really needs to be told throughout any sport, whether that's women's basketball, baseball, football, field hockey, whatever it is that I'm broadcasting. Like, I want to make sure that I deliver a good story and leave the listener or the viewer wanting more and wanting to tune into another broadcast, even if I'm not on it. I guess that would be like my legacy left behind, like making sure that the fans have fun first, because that's what it's all about with sports, having fun with it.
Right.
And making sure that they, walk away from something and walking away from a game, learning something about an athlete or learning something about a team.
That's awesome. I mean, and I think that's a big thing. I think for me, myself, I always said, why I love doing this. I love telling the story. You want people to go back and say, oh man, you did a really good job of, bringing me in, making me appreciate, this and falling in love with it. So yeah, I think that's going to be it's a big part, I think, for all of us in it, that just, we want to be able to tell a story. And I know that my experience with you, my friend, has been great. We've always had a really good time out there.
Yeah.
And I know that I sit there and I listen a lot. And I'm sitting there listening, and I just hear you call it so effortlessly. And I'm just like, this is just an amazing experience just to be able to sit there and just listen to you, do your job, man. It is. I'm not trying to toot your horn too much, but what I'm saying, I personally had a chance to sit there and have this happen, and then it has been always an honor, man. I really, really have always appreciated you, and I thank you so much on that, my friend.
Same to hear, Darrell. It's been really fun doing those games together, and having that rapport. And it's so easy when you're able to connect with your broadcast partner that way. So I appreciate everything that you've done with me on those calls too, because it's super, super fun to walk in and be like, oh, Darrell's my partner today, perfect. Or and that goes across for any broadcast partner that I have.
Right.
Like you want to have fun with it. You want to make sure that it's a memorable call, and we have some laughs on the air.
Yeah, we do. I think the biggest thing is, like I said, I try to go there, try to make Blaine look good as possible. I mean, that's my goal.
It's a tough job to do, man.
I was like, I'm out here. I'm going to piggyback and make sure that I make him sound just as amazing as he already is. If I can add a little bit to that, then I know I've done my job, my friend. I know I've done my job. All right, everybody. We're closing this one up here, 207. Next week, our guy, Mr. Robert Fish, will join us, to talk about his life, his career, and how he's gotten to this point. Very, very excited to have Rob on with me next week. Another person who has been an amazing mentor to me. When I first started doing all of this, I was so nervous. I was so nervous to go up to him and just be like, hey, could you give me some advice? And we talked about it earlier, and I thought, I was like, he's not going to talk to me. he's probably going to be like, get out of here. But I mean, he couldn't have been more open, and he couldn't have been more of a, inviting person into it. And he taught me so much over the years. And so it's going to be great to have him on. He was another one I was like, I don't think Rob's going to do this, but we're going to see if he's going to try. We're going to give it a shot. And yeah, so we'll have him on next week for episode 208. Once again, everybody, I'm Darrell Owens. This is Blaine McCormick. You get a chance, if you haven't had a chance to check out Flying Squirrels or listen to it on radio, hey, man, go do it, because you're going to listen to greatness in the process. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. This has been One-on-One, episode 207. We will be back next week for 208. Until then, y'all be safe. Have a good one, and we will see you all then. Until next time, thank you, Blaine, once again, my friend.
Of course. Have fun. Go nuts.
Yes, go nuts.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the